This session 6, dedicated to bringing it home. Welcome everybody. It is a real joy to be here with you as we gather today. And we're going to treat this session a little reverently. We're going to approach this like a ceremony. So at any point, if you want to go and grab your sacred objects or something that's special, I know Kristin was sharing, you got something special from your mum that you're wearing. This is a gathering to close this weekend. There are no endings here. There's no endings in sight. We have the harvest day coming up on Sunday, the 18th of February, and then beyond and beyond and beyond. But this is, in a sense, the coming home, the bringing it home. And so we want to treat this as a ceremony, even if it's just a glass of water you want to go and grab and bring it here to hold the blessings during this next 2.5 hours. So Julie Krull has been doing an extraordinary job, and the golden thread is getting longer and more full of gems and beauty and wonderful treasures, Julie, as we go further into this process. And Dr. Julie Krull from the Connection Field, who is facilitating the engagement session today, and Good of the Whole. And Julie, we've had 5 amazing sessions. We've now made it to session 6, and we are bringing it home. What would you like to share about what's happened until now?
It has been beautiful, and it's like we're telling a story. There really is this story arc that's forming here. So it's been really a true blessing for me to be able to try to synthesize this and create this. But first, we must start with a little heart coherence and bring ourselves all into this sacred moment together as we hold today in this reverent place. Let's take a few sacred breaths together. Just breathing into the one heart and allowing that one big breath to breathe us, to inspire us, and to dance with our little breaths. It's bringing us into this moment. And while you breathe one last time, if this is your first time here, we have to read this beautiful poem by David Lorimer that's been our theme throughout all 6 sessions. So if you feel you want to leave your eyes closed and just really feel the sacredness of these words, feel free to do that. It's called The Golden Thread. We are tasked to undertake a journey to follow our golden thread into the labyrinth of life. Wandering along, we look out for something, when first we need to look inside for stillness. Content in silence within, we can proceed with surer step along the path, present in and to the moment. Sometimes we simply stumble. We lose the thread, forgetting who we are and where we're going. Just wait and trust. Don't think. Don't stress. Don't rush around. Listen to the quiet voice of your heart, the heart that knows, the heart that feels deeply. Only then can the golden thread appear, and in no time you'll find yourself at home at the center of the labyrinth of life and love. So we've been on a sacred journey. As you continue to breathe, let me just summarize from session 1 clear through session 5, giving you a little bit more about session 5. In session 1, during our exploration of humanity's sacred mission, we heard about unity, love, and consciousness. The visionary voices shared a unitive worldview, speaking of a coherent evolutionary process or wholeness in motion. That coherent evolutionary process is us and created us. Like a dance of the universe dancing us, the unified nature of reality has carried forward into every session. In session 2, we pulled the golden threads of unity, love, and consciousness into implementation. There was a strong theme of encouragement to bring nature and the sacred into all of our solutions, all of our work, all of our actions. We must be in right relationship with the planet to serve humanity. Then in session 3, we focused on synergizing for change. The strong theme was a recognition of the evolutionary impulse calling us to gather together in evolutionary purpose. There's a global movement towards synergizing organizations, communities, and networks of networks for greater coherence. We recognize that there's a superpower on the planet, and it is us. Then in session 4, we focused on peacemaking. We heard from diverse visionary voices about the nowness of peacemaking. One said that 500 years, the last 500 years have been a spiritual preparation for humanity to emerge into full spiritual adulthood and actualize the divine in every area of life. We have an individual responsibility that begins with peace in our hearts and extends into practical actions in our daily lives. Peace on earth is the most compelling idea on the planet, and it creates a unifying vision. And now it has a due date, peace on earth by 2030. In session 5, we pulled the threads of embodiment. There was a common theme of moving forward with kindness and compassion for the good of the whole, to move from self-centered interests to the greater good, move beyond personal growth to the health of the whole. Cooperation has forever guided evolution toward greater complexity. Cooperation is our imperative. To embody this is to live into your divinity right here, right now. So here are a few tips for us. Our sacred mission has already begun. Try to bring in a semblance of humanity to everyone you touch. Each day, practice a little kindness, for kindness is an answer to someone's prayer. And look for ways to integrate the visionary voices into key decision-making roles, agendas, and collective conscience. Remember, we are co-evolutionary partners with the universe. We are all keepers of the sacred trust. Awaken your ancient memory. Remember who you are. It's time to come down from the mountains, step off of the mat, get up from the cushion and into your life, carrying the sacred into every thought, word, and deed. It's been fun, Ben. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us these past 5 sessions, preparing, and yet here we go, one more beautiful opportunity for us to be this divine inspiration and expression of who we really be. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Julie. It's been so much fun. It's been so much fun this Lunar New Year and this theme of awakening to humanity's sacred mission and International Symposium and Call to Action. We've had tremendous engagement, great speakers, perhaps unparalleled collaboration, cooperation between impact networks and organizations that have come together to co-produce this, co-sponsor this, and bring this together for the good of the whole. Julie, thank you for your enormous contributions to making this what it is. Ceremony, we're beginning with the angelic music and voice of Kristin Hoffmann. And Kristin, I think everybody knows who Kristin is, and if you don't, you will very soon. So Kristin Hoffmann is a Juilliard-trained singer, conscious musician, producer, and vocalist for the internationally acclaimed show Bala Gaia. A strong advocate for peace and earth-ocean conservation, Kristin opens sonic emotional heart spaces in which powerful new awareness, connection, and healing can flourish, and does. She works regularly with other thought leaders and change makers to amplify important wisdom for our times through the powerful vehicle of music. Kristin, you are such a blessing to all of us and to so many. We're just so grateful, delighted, and humbled that you're here with us today, bringing it home. Over to you, Kristin.
Oh, infinite gratitude, Ben. Thank you so much. It is a true honor to be here with you all at this incredible symposium. And it's time to bring it home, as the theme of this session speaks to. And I want to just talk about that for a moment. What does it mean to bring it home? I mean, when we think of this symposium, it could be just, we're finishing up, we're bringing it home, we're bringing it in for the home run. But as we look out into the world these days, it can be a very overwhelming scene. And it's easy to become paralyzed in the, what can I do? How can I have an impact in this convoluted and chaotic, often chaotic these days, scene that we're peering into? And I have been thinking again and again, what we can do is bring it home. Bring it home into your heart. Bring it home into your family. Bring love home into your communities. Bring love home into your states. And this just ripples out. As we bring our love and our care and our attention home, we really, truly can make a difference. And this is about just listening to what are your unique gifts that you have to offer. And it can start with something as simple as how we greet each other, how we welcome each other into spaces. Here we've built this incredible family. Thank you to Unity.earth. We have built this incredible community where when we step into this room, into this space together, we feel welcomed. We were listening to Pato and Antoinette talk about the spirit of Ubuntu. We have just been greeting each other with love. One of my favorite friends and mentors these days, Reverend Retta Morgan, is working on a book called The Well of Welcome. And she says, it's time for us to practice the art of welcome as a spiritual practice. It's time to practice the art of welcoming as a spiritual practice. So in alignment with this message of bringing it home, loving each other in this space, welcoming each other, and really welcoming our unique voice, our unique gifts that will ripple out at this time, I chose to play this piece that I've only ever played once before. It came through as an improvisation in the incredibly held container of Sister Jenna's America Meditating retreat that was online in 2020. And I just opened up and this song poured through. And in the Brahma Kumaris tradition, they welcome each other with the greeting Om Shanti. And Om Shanti not only means peace, but it is a way to just greet each other with peace. And so last night I got that message from Spirit, and Spirit told me, you are to play Om Shanti today. And so I went back and I relearned from the video in 2020 how to play this piece. And I'm just so excited to be sharing it with you today in a prayerful, loving, welcoming way. I love you all so much. Om Shanti.
Together
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sister Kristin. Talk about bringing it home. Oh my goodness. Om Shanti. Om Shanti to you, sister. Thank you. Thank you so
Infinite
much.
gratitude. Thank you, brother, for this incredible space and family. Love you all dearly.
Well, Kristin, it's so interesting you chose that song, Om Shanti. And I know Sister Jenna is part of the video and up in Hubcast Studios where we're going live at, they're just getting ready. They've set the whole studio up for Sister Jenna's live broadcast of this new show, One Love. Gary Malkin on piano and the whole talk, more than a talk show, but hosted live there. So we're going to new levels, and thank you for bringing us to new levels as we begin today.
It's always an honor, every single time. Such an honor to share music in this space and weave with you all. Thank you.
You're amazing. Now,
Just
Kristin.
blessings to Sister Jenna.
Yes, and to that show. Do you want to say just 30 seconds about Japan and the calling to Japan?
Yes. Well, today I wore a bit of a kimono and I wore this special necklace that I got matching necklaces with my mother when I went to Japan when I was just about 8 years old. And it was such a special experience and it felt like coming to a home for me. And I had a little version of this and I wore my mother's today. And we're all going to Japan in September for Peace Week. And so I just wanted to really hold that vision by adorning myself in this expression of our togetherness in Japan, in Tokyo, at Mount Fuji, in Hiroshima. It's really going to be a truly sacred time. And I am so excited to be gathering together in person. It's going to be extraordinary.
Bless.
Please come join us. If you're watching this, you will also be welcomed.
Yes, come to Japan for Peace Week. Thank you, Kristin, for that magnificent angelic beginning. So we now are going from just this whole program, this ceremony of session 6 of this symposium, and we are truly blessed to have our next presenter, John Boswell Cobb Jr., born on the 9th of February, 1925. Is an American theologian, philosopher, and environmentalist. Now, if you're good at maths, or even if you're not, you might have just figured out that John had his 99th birthday on Friday. John is regarded as one of the preeminent scholar in the field of process philosophy and process theology, the school of thought associated with the philosophy of Alfred North Whitehead. Cobb is the author of more than 50 books. You know, I'm going to cut the rest of your esteemed bio short, John, because I don't want to take up any of your time. We just want to hear from you. We're so honored, delighted, and moved to have you with us today. Happy birthday for Friday. Many happy returns. And thank you for being with us at the symposium dedicated to humanity's sacred mission and your work, bridging between East and West, China and the United States. The work of process thinking and process theology, process philosophy is so a powerful force for us as we consider the theme today.
I think before I start my talk, I should just say I was very touched by what we were just hearing. My earliest memories are of Hiroshima. I was born in Kobe, so that the places you will be visiting are familiar to me. And probably growing up in Japan has had some permanent effect. I think it always, whatever our experience is, has some effect on us. But at the level of governments, I'm not encouraged by what is happening today. But another level may be even more important. Governments, whether formally democratic or not, are influenced by public opinion. They are especially interested in public opinion that expresses itself in action. At that level of organization and activity, much is happening. Many individuals and many communities want to improve chances of a living earth. No two people or organizations have just the same challenges and opportunities, but directly or indirectly, we are all called to save our home, the planet, the earth, from the self-destruction to which so much human action seems directed. It seems that we have taught ourselves to think that having more goods and more money is the measure of success. We are called to liberate ourselves and one another from thinking that economic wealth is the most important measure of well-being. The many goods with which this planet can supply us on a sustainable basis are of great importance because they can enable us to live rewarding lives of mutual service through keeping the earth healthy. I think of ordering our lives for that purpose as earthism, that is, putting the service of the earth first, so that to think whether you are ready to put the health of the planet ahead of our private wealth or even our national wealth. If we will all do that, it is not too late. I call everyone to be an earthist, but concretely, just what that will mean will differ greatly. I will share what it has meant to me and now means for me. When I ask what about my personal past is most relevant to my decisions, I note that I am part of a small minority who are of European ancestry, but more oriented to Asia. My parents felt called to live and work in East Asia. They thought that would be China. My mother had gone to college with the Sung sisters and was a good friend of the one who married Sun Yat-sen. But China was not open to American teachers in the years right after World War I, and my parents went to Japan instead. Madame Sun Yat-sen visited my mother in Kobe in 1924. My mother was pregnant with me, so I claim almost to have met her. In some vague way, it contributes to my sense of feeling called to orient my efforts around the relation of China and the United States. My understanding of the natural world is that we understand it better when we think of organisms rather than mechanisms. The process thought with which I have tried to replace mechanistic thinking expresses that. It also connects me more with the thinking of the Far East. China's success seemed to be threatening the American goal to dominate the world. More of the American political leadership decided that China was America's greatest enemy. My view was that the only hope for the future of humanity was cooperation between the two most powerful nations in developing a future of peace and shared efforts to preserve the living earth. I was appalled that the American press more and more depicted Russia and its leaders as evil, apparently preparing us for that most appalling of all possible wars, the one between the world's two great nuclear powers. In my personal reflection about what I am called to do, I saw that thousands of people know more about what we are doing in Ukraine and Israel than I, but that I might give some leadership with respect to China. Our process community had been welcome there, and Zhe Wang could guide us. Our preference for organic thinking tended to be well received there. So we have thought that the calling to which most of us should respond as a group and as individuals is to focus on China-US relations. We knew that American propaganda was directed to generating enmity and justifying actions harmful to China. We did not think that falsification of reality in an opposite direction would help, but that if we could make available to those who are open factual accounts, the dangerous consequences of hostile propaganda might be weakened. Perhaps more Americans would see that cooperation with China is possible and would be fruitful. I'm a great admirer of an ancient Jew named Jesus. One of his least followed teachings was that we should love our enemies. Perhaps, if in a culture much of which celebrates Jesus, we could lift up the reality that loving our enemies is in fact our only hope, we can make a real contribution to the future. We are hoping that enough Americans understand the dangers of hostile and misleading propaganda sufficiently that the increasing availability of more accurate information could reduce the danger of war. We organized the Living Earth movement. Our ultimate goal would be to base international policies in general on more objective information combined with the continuing love of those so much propaganda unjustifiably vilifies. We believe that we are called to begin with China, and we give the American depiction of China a really critical examination that can be widely available. Bonnie Talwater has shown us how small groups of American citizens can strengthen one another in their personal commitment to Earthism and the peace that expresses it. We call these groups Earth Crisis Support Groups. You can learn how to organize them. Thousands of such groups could be organized fairly quickly, and we have already had enough experience to be confident of a positive result. The availability of accurate information and intimate groups seeking to become wise peacemakers need to be accompanied by serious, The availability of accurate information and the intimate groups seeking to become peacemakers need to be accompanied by serious efforts of the two most powerful nations to depict a world in which life in general and human life in particular could flourish. We call this ecological civilization. If governments will lead, fine, but failing that, we need to organize all kinds of citizens groups that shift the conversation from how bad the other people are to what can be done cooperatively to ensure a livable planet. Some of this is going on. Another activity we are promoting and recommend to others for such promotion are youth dialogues. These we call sharing from the heart. What needs to be shared are all manner of experiences, especially those youth are now having as they awaken to the dangers their elders have bequeathed them. Of course, many young people do talk with other young people, but both the number of conversation groups and their ability to bring out the deeper levels of anxiety and distress need careful preparation. I hope you can understand both that and why we are beginning with the relations between the United States and China. And also, we think similar programs and activities can be developed elsewhere. We think that if the United States and China continue to focus on military activities and ways of destroying each other, the living Earth may be unimaginably damaged. We judge that others are called to organize to end war in Ukraine and Israel. At the moment, this seems even more urgent than improving the situation with China. If that is your calling, the fact that mine focuses on China should not in any way reduce the sense of importance to action on all these fronts. We are allies in the service of the earth and in its reorganization in terms of ecological civilization. If we find patterns of action in Israel that could help us in China, hopefully we will enthusiastically learn from one another. My intention is not to advise you or where anybody about their specific calling may be. We can share our experiments in hopes that they may be copied successfully or stimulate thinking about what might work well in relation to China. We may develop programs that work well in many places. Let us compete in our service of the earth. Competition has a role in stimulating new ideas and practices. In the world of sports, at times, competition gets out of hand. But for the most part, we can compete without turning opponents into enemies. Humans have overall developed commitments to sportsmanship that can maintain respect for those with whom we compete. Perhaps we can propose alternative ways of reducing global warming and compete among them. Since it is clear that human beings enjoy competing, it will be far better to draw those aspects of human nature into the larger commitment to Earthism rather than allow it to become an enemy. But because treating some of the others that make up the world as enemies, we will be wise to recognize that enmity exists. Once we identify it, we can call for loving our enemies. We can begin by truly seeking to learn and act on the truth, but also caring for the human beings who are doing truly vicious things. If we love our enemies, enemies will be greatly reduced, but we will not give up the effort to love them while they remain enemies.
Thank you so much, John Cobb. That is really at the heart of it, perhaps the most simple and profound reality, that until we learn to love our enemies, we're not going to make it to peace on earth, and let alone peace with the earth. And if you look at the report card right now, you'd have to say, we ain't doing that great when it comes to loving our enemies. So thank you. And I think this is something we can all bring home. We not just point to this group and that group and say they have to do better, but to really bring it home to how well are we loving our enemies. Thank you for that beautiful message and wisdom, and for your life of service and thought leadership on this planet. John Cobb, is just an honor and a privilege and a joy to have you here as part of this symposium. Thank you to Charles Betterton, and thank you to all the support that has been able to bring you here today. I think it's Nathan who's there with you, and thank you to Nathan who's been able to get you online so that hundreds and through the time thousands can benefit from your wisdom. Thank you, John. On we go, and it's just powerful and beautiful, and it just keeps getting more powerful and beautiful because our next speaker is Dr. Marty K. Casey from Ungun Institute. And I know that Marty resonated strongly with what John Cobb was saying there. And I know Marty was feeling Kristin as well, because I saw her, hands up, moving and flowing. And, we're in the flow. We're bringing it home, Marty K. Casey. And who better to bring it home than you? Let me just say a few words about Dr. Marty K. Casey. Performance artist and activist, has procreated and given meaning to a new word, activist. Leveraging the arts for healing, Dr. Casey founded Ungun Institute, focusing on healing trauma through applied arts. There is a lot more to say about Dr. Marty K. Casey, but I think that's at the heart of it, is using, the wisdom and the arts and your huge heart, Marty, to get out there and to heal trauma. Disarming trauma is really what's at the heart of the Ungun Institute. Such an important global medicine. And we're delighted and overjoyed to have you here in this symposium, Awakening to Humanity's Sacred Mission. Marty K. Casey.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Ben. You are my brother for a lifetime. I first of all would like to just say I am just so grateful to be here. These words that are being spoken into our hearts and the mission and the work that we're doing collectively, it just continues to help to elevate us individually. And if it was not for Unity.earth, and if it was not for me even sitting on the Grants Council of Purpose Earth, I don't know if my work would even have the value that it is continuously growing and becoming aware of in these other spaces if it was not for the work that you all are doing. And that's really how the collective works. I want to jump right on into this so that I won't go over my time. I want to start out with asking a question. How do we govern ourselves as one humanity in a world that is intentionally divided? I'm going to ask that again. How do we govern ourselves as one humanity in a world that is intentionally divided? First, there are essential things we must equally distribute in order to achieve fair and equal rights for all. No matter your region, race, creed, color, national origin, sex, age, or religion, it is imperative that we take the proper measures to be inclusive. However, given the choice, some may choose not to engage or be included, but never should they be excluded from the opportunity to join humanity's sacred mission. In order to achieve fair and equitable rights for all, we must review the distribution of common resources to assure every human being can maintain the pursuit of happiness. This starts by reconstructing 10 equitable core areas of concern: accessible resources, affordable health care, quality food, clean water, access to capital, fair housing, unbiased criminal laws, proper education, equal and fair employment, sensible gun laws. Until we can shift the mindset of those who fight to increase wars for power and money, controlling and overpowering others of different beliefs, race, and ethnic backgrounds, we will forever be fighting amongst each other to survive, leaving us to defend ourselves daily against evil and unfair treatment. Ungun Institute has created a technique, trauma tracing. This helps to discover and measure negative behaviors which have plagued our communities and contributed to the downfall of society to date. This technique shows the overlap of historical and ancestral traits that identify overwhelming collective past traumas that lead to the never-ending cycle of violence. By identifying the root causes, and it helps to break the cycle and disarm the trauma, allowing individuals the ability to begin the healing process. For example, myself. As a Black woman in America, when I trauma traced my roots, it led me back to hundreds of years of unresolved traumas in my own family associated with slavery of my ancestors. There was an overwhelming amount of gun violence, incarceration, and alcohol abuse. This made it clear to me where the trauma pockets were developing in my own family. Intergenerational trauma can leave a chemical mark on a person's genes, which can then be passed down to future generations. Trauma is transferable, and so is healing. This is why I personally began the work to create Ungun Institute as a system to disarm and break generational curses, starting with my own. Ungun system has 4 components: give, forgive, heal, live. This set of elements help to guide individuals on a peace journey to assist with their pursuit of happiness in the world. Our work has been recognized twice by President Biden, receiving the Lifetime Presidential Achievement Award. And over the last 30 days, we have been invited and involved to engage with the newly appointed Deputy Director of the White House of Gun Violence Prevention, Mr. Gregory Jackson, in hopes to reduce the collective effects of gun violence in Black communities. Ungun system allows individuals to not only understand the root causes of their trauma, but it also gives them a collective opportunity to heal inside of the communities that we still see triggering us daily with unfair practices that was mentioned earlier. One of the ways to remind us of the necessary changes that we are going through is through billboards. This can show effective wording and images to raise awareness of personal peace that we can all practice daily. Positive reinforcement brings about positive change. And this is why Ungun teamed up with the national media company Outfront Media to start a community safe campaign, displaying over 24 billboards in our city, St. Louis, Missouri. Since July of last year, the billboards have been noticed by thousands. And due to the positive impact that it had directly on the community, St. Louis went from being #1 in gun violence and murders to now down to #3. And we're proud to announce that those billboards are still up in our city today. We would love for you to join Ungun Institute by participating in purchasing a Stop, Breathe, Think billboard for a community of the most dangerous cities in America. Detroit, Michigan, Baltimore, Maryland, St. Louis, Missouri, Oakland, California, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, Cleveland, Ohio, New Orleans, Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia, and Chicago, Illinois. Together, we will attempt to set the Guinness World Record for the most number of Stop, Breathe, Think peace response billboards across America. Together, we can disarm trauma. Our record is scheduled to be set exactly 6 months from today on August 11th during the 4th annual commemoration of Black Sun SON Day holiday. This major call to action, I do believe, with your participation, along with our other global partners, we can achieve one humanity's sacred mission. Remember, there is no planet B. This is it. Hurt people hurt people. Healed people heal people. I'm asking you today, will you join me and others so we can heal? I'm Dr. Marty K. Casey with Ungun Institute, and I thank you for the opportunity to be before you today. Happy Black History, happy Black History, happy Black History Month, and every day.
Oh, Marty, thank you so much. We knew when you were showing up for bringing it home that you were going to bring it home for all of us. And thank you, Marty, for keeping it real. The work that you do in vulnerable communities right across the United States is profound. It's transformational. And you are now, Ungun is coming to all sorts of different spaces and so many different theaters and arenas of life, and everywhere is needed. Where trauma is everywhere, then you need to have the tools and the wisdom and the medicine, Marty, that you are and that you bring through the Ungun Institute. So many blessings to you as you continue to grow and develop on your sacred mission, which is so clear and so vital. And thank you, Marty. And if you can, anybody wants to reach out, wants to support Marty K. Casey or Ungun, please get in touch with us and we will connect you directly to the team, a growing team, a capable team that's got a huge and holy mission. So thank you, Marty, for taking your time to be with us today. We love you and we're with you.
Thank you, Ben. I do want to say they can reach us at unguninstitute.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Unguninstitute.com. Reach out and the team will take it from there. That was awesome. Thank you, Marty K. Casey. We're such an incredibly, diverse panel here of different projects and change makers and people doing amazing stuff. And I get to welcome now Adam Apollo, who's an amazing brother, being part of Next Generation Leadership Ambassador at the White House and a featured speaker in multiple Nexus and other summits at the United Nations, as well as conferences and festivals around the world. Adam is a co-founder of the Unify Movement, our friends and partners in this symposium, which reaches over 100 million people each month, and 2 education and technology-based companies, Access Granted and Superluminal Systems. And Adam's working on some incredibly next generation technology that is going to help this global movement interact and connect and organize and going forward. Adam's also closely associated with the Hollow movement and the emerging technology on that side through Core Nexus. Brother, it's great to have you with us in this symposium dedicated to awakening to humanity's secret mission. I know you've stepped out of the Conscious Life Expo. I think is that in Denver or Boulder or wherever, but you've done that to come and be with us today, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, right in the heart of Los Angeles. We're here at the LAX Hilton. And forgive me if my voice is a little gravelly today. I've been speaking pretty much nonstop all weekend on panels and in presentations. And I did the first time at one of these conferences, I did a 90-minute presentation on gamifying planetary transformation. And what I'm here to share with you all today is a little bit of that vision and what that looks like and where we are and where we can possibly go as a species. In order to do that, it's really important for us to understand the nature of the main challenges that we face. We're in a time in the world where our communication is one of the most important vehicles for us to unify, to work together, and to collaborate and coordinate. I became aware a very long time ago that large centralized corporations being the mediators of our communication could lead to great problems. And many of us have experienced this by building organizations, myself being a co-founder of Unify in 2012. Once we hit 1 million followers, Facebook cut the throttle, and overnight we went from growing thousands of followers a day to 0. And it took weeks to be able to get in touch with the organization. And what they told us is, if you'd like to continue reaching your audience, you just need to pay us $50 to $100 a day. And I realized in that very harsh wake-up call that we were dealing with a sort of mafia around communications. And this is extraordinarily difficult, especially as we've come into a period of time where we realize that most of our global communications is dominated by social media communication. And so we're inside of that filter. And of course, many of us experienced that during COVID and witnessing the kinds of information that was essentially being blocked from the public in different ways, simply because one organization or another decided that they were going to be the police around what is truth. Now, that social media issue is only one of a sort of multi-tiered problem that I see. And the other two facets of that problem have to do with how we economically share and grow and drive our economy, which for the most part is one-sided around the idea that we got to make a bunch of money so that we can have more stuff and we can live greater lives. But most people really deeply want to give to charity. They want to be able to support things that need them in the world. But the average person that I talk with does not have the extra money to be able to give money to a charity. They don't feel like they're empowered in that way. And most of the charities that they know of in the world feel like gigantic black boxes where their money is just going to get thrown in a hole, and they have no idea what happens to it. They have no picture of how they can actually make a change by supporting these things. And so I've been looking at what are the underlying psychological and philosophical drivers inside of people that essentially we could leverage to create change in a more profound way and get everybody involved, get everybody on board. It's hard for people to even donate a little time to go, spend on World Water Day or the International Day of Peace. I've seen people struggle with the idea that they have to sit and meditate for just 10 minutes to be a part of a Unify thing. And what I've looked at is how can we gamify the process of people's involvement in such a way that begins to truly drive and anchor ongoing and building community support for these kinds of efforts. So I'm going to screen share for just a little bit to kind of give you guys a few visual elements of this story and some of the natural movement that's happening and how we can back that movement, how we can back that transformation that's already occurring here on Earth. So jumping in here, I like to start with this idea that it's possible for us to take the technological developments that we've made and use the new kinds of technologies, visualization systems, and amazing rendering and abilities that are being unlocked by technology to create a gamified journey of planetary stewardship for the people that would intensively enhance and rapidly develop our ability to actually see what's going on the planet and make a difference around it. Now, of course, there's a whole movement that's happening already right now, which is that we have all these people in the public essentially shifting from a position where they're stuck in a 9-to-5 corporate industrial slave job, and they're wanting to work freely. They're wanting to freelance. They're wanting to be anywhere and do anything. They're wanting to actually express themselves more deeply than as an individual who's part of some corporation or some business. And that movement is massive. Forbes, Harvard Business Review, New York Times, Business Insider, all of them are saying that the 9-to-5 job is dead over the last few years. And when we start to look at what that creative world looks like, it's people teaching each other courses, coaching each other, doing design and artwork for each other, creating music and sounds, photography, development services. And the markets behind this kind of creator sharing is not small. We're literally talking about over $1 trillion a year of people exchanging knowledge, art, tools, and multimedia. It's absolutely massive. And some of the biggest parts of that are essentially people sharing in arts and design and entertainment. And there's over 435 million people known right now globally that participate in this gig economy. And one of the biggest groups of these is the millennials and younger. So essentially you have millennials that don't only just want to be creative and leading their world through creative work, they want to be out everywhere in the world doing it. They want to travel to do it. They want to go somewhere, take on a mission, experience life in a beautiful way. And what are millennials also into? Well, they're into gaming. You know, only inside a game can you be a hero of 1,000 stories and be a Spartan and be a king and be a commander and do all of that kind of thing in an afternoon. And these are ways that people are shaping themselves to be more, even if they're just experiencing that little bit more through some kind of virtual adventure or jumping into a super realistic, motorcycle game where they get the thrill of driving around and flying around. And these kinds of technology are becoming more and more advanced. But it's important to recognize that this gaming market is also bigger than all of the box office movies and all of the recorded music in the world combined. It's like we think of the movie industry as huge. It's a fraction of the size of the gaming industry. And one of the reasons why gaming is so powerful is that it leverages rewards, social trade, and builds social connection. So from these pieces, we started to see the essence of what this new kind of system can look like. And we call it Core Nexus. And essentially, it's a social dashboard where you could create a post just like you would on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, but you can also sequence that post into a whole package that becomes a course, episodic content, episodic media, or episodic music. And the way the system works is it lets you sell these kinds of digital products and automatically split income to friends, sharing royalties with people that you co-create with, as well as share 1% up to 100% into whatever area of impact you care about. And that's really the key piece here. But first, I'm going to show you a little bit of the interface. We go way beyond the idea of the flat screen of Facebook, and we say that people are stars and their worlds are planets around them with content. We focalize the social system around a dashboard that empowers people to take on missions in different areas of the world, to take free training, to gamify their growth and development through the platform. And we track missions in the world where people can actually go participate, get involved, do something like a tree planting or a river cleanup, and get paid for it and earn badges from it. And when I say impact funds and impact missions, I'm not just talking about one area or another. I'm talking about 18 sectors, integrating Barbara Marx Hubbard's 12-sector model, the SDG model, Vincent Arena's models, and others. And changing this sense of what makes someone important or popular from how many followers you have to how much impact you're actually making in the world. And being enough like a game so that the kids can feel like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I'm going to go clean up 10 rivers just because I'm going to then earn an Aquaman suit for my virtual avatar. There are many ways to gamify that kind of change. And it's important that right now we start changing the way that people think about success and they think about honor in terms of what makes them popular. And, you know, right now it's all dopamine hits from likes and followers. And what we're really talking about in terms of a transition is moving to metrics being about how much regenerative impact you're actually creating. So here's the big picture, and I'll wrap it up for you. You have a massive international campaign like we do with Unify or Unity.earth throughout the year. And as we do these campaigns, imagine people creating courses, arts, music, and et cetera to support that campaign. Then sharing that income with the community that's creating these events, as well as their collaborators, and also sharing income with an impact fund. And then the seller and the buyer both earn impact points. Now, that impact fund money doesn't just sit there. Instead, another user comes in, creates a mission like a river cleanup, a bounty gets attached to that. And now you have people joining in the social network to participate in that mission, going out by the river in the real world, having real social connection. Wow, wouldn't that be a concept? And taking some selfies, having a moment, having fun with each other. And then when that uploads, we've literally verified that impact has actually happened. And those people can earn badges, points, and money. And that's just such a huge deal right now. And we've been nominated for the Earthshot Prize last year in 2023. We just got notice that we got nominated this year in 2024. You know, we have a lot of amazing partners. I'll jump out of this because I think I'm over time. I couldn't see the clock, forgive me. And I just thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here and share. I really believe we're in a time where we have the power to actually gamify the masses and turn the tide for the youth and the next generations towards becoming superheroes who actually are making a difference in the world as their job, as their vocation. Instead of TaskRabbit, Uber, and Lyft, right? We can do this together. And I believe it just takes a little bit of the integrating of systems around the kind of philosophies that we've been discussing. So thank you all so much for your time. Aloha kea kua, blessed be, in Lakesh, Wopila. Thank you,
Brother
man.
Adam. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. So inspiring, you know, and exciting to see what is, you know, coming down with Core Nexus and the work you do. I love the reframes and all the reframes you've put into that to design that really from the ground up to have a healthy impact. And thank you for, you know, jumping into this session today out of the Conscious Life Expo. Our next speaker is another extraordinary global luminary, change maker, spiritual light on the planet. Jonathan Granoff is president of Global Security Institute, a permanent observer to the United Nations of the International Anti-Corruption Academy. He is representative to the UN of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Prize laureates, a fellow of World Academy of Art and Science, and since his youth has been a student of Sufi saint Bawa Muhyiddin. He is honored with his namesake. Having been given the name of Ahmed Muhyiddin. Ahmed Muhyiddin, welcome, Jonathan Granoff. It's wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for being here.
Thank you, Ben. Many of the discussions that I've heard today are dealing with the space between us. I call that the political realm. And that's very important. But I thought that the theme of this was about evolution. So I had planned on talking about that and the human purpose and what is our sacred purpose. Our sacred purpose is not found in de jure institutions. The institutions of law that we create, states, just back up, the modern state was created for the purpose of separating people, separating Protestants and Catholics in the 17th century who were slaughtering each other in Central Europe. A bunch of wonks got together in Westphalia, 1648, and created the modern state to stop them from killing each other and separate them. So the states that we have, the system of states, was formed to separate people. And the problems we have today, our moment in the evolution of the relationship between humanity and the planet requires us to come together. So last week I was speaking at the United Nations Thursday. The Interparliamentary Union and the President of the General Assembly were having hearings. And I gave a talk on the importance of human security, changing the paradigm from pursuing secure states with insecure people to putting people first, taking care of people's needs. Because today's world, because of the impact of science, technology, and social organization, the problems that people face at a local level are actually global. I was one of the founders of the Human Security for All program with the United Nations, so I'm somewhat of a passionate advocate for this change of paradigm in governance. And I can tell you, I was part of the debates in the General Assembly's debates on the statement that all the heads of state would make at the summit that took place last fall. And when the idea of human security was put into play, the Russian delegation said, "We will break consensus over this term." So I went and I talked to them and I said, what is the counterfactual? Are you for human insecurity? Right? They didn't know. I said, well, that's not good enough. In other words, they had orders. They were not really able to give me an explanation. They came back the next day and they said, we're concerned that this doctrine will be used to violate our sovereignty under the doctrine of responsibility to protect. Now, that was exactly the doctrine that they used to invade Ukraine. So that was the end of the conversation because it was that incoherent. And I thought deeply about this point, especially in light of what John Cobb said about the importance of loving everybody. I mean, that's what I'm going to get to, of course, because that's really that's our personal and collective evolution. But I thought deeply about the incoherence there and the impossibility of having a rational dialogue under such circumstances. And I thought that I understood why the Russians invaded Ukraine. They felt generally threatened. They were threatened at the very beginning of the creation of the Russian culture was in response to the hordes coming from the east. They're traumatized from the Swedish invasion, the Vikings invasion. It's a population traumatized from the French invasion of Napoleon, traumatized by the invasion of the Nazis, and logically concluding that surrounded by military bases of the United States, we're a threat to them. But you know what? We're real different. There's no moral equivalency. Because in a country where there's basic freedoms, in a country in which we can share our ideas, we can criticize our government, and all governments make mistakes, and we can make corrections. And in the authoritarian regimes that are pursuing empire today, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Iran, you can't make corrections. There's no moral equivalency. Free societies mean something. And right now, the freedom that we take for granted is at risk because there are people in the United States right now who want to create an authoritarian regime They're effectively using social media in the networks that we're talking about, especially the ones you're talking about, Adam, to create a moral equivalency and persuade people that the realm of politics is irrelevant to them and they can change things from changing markets, changing culture. Right now, the house is on fire. We have to make sure that the principles of the rule of law that protect our freedoms, the principles of public engagement that allow us to discuss and have disagreements and love our enemies, which we must do, are protected. So find some way of making sure that we don't lose our democracy. Now, I want to talk about the evolution. We're first and foremost human beings, and human beings are the only creature that can live out of harmony with the flow of life. We have this choice. All other creatures live in harmony. And we are admonished to fulfill a purpose in our birth. We're not just born to eat, sleep, defecate, procreate, and die. Our purpose is to discover the mystery that created us. The maxim is, God was a hidden treasure loving to be known, and thus made a creature that can know this mystery. And how do we come to know it? We come to know it by the wisdom to understand the nature of knowing itself, because it is this knowing that makes us human. And the foundation of that knowing is directly connected with wisdom, and wisdom is that consciousness that arises from the attributes of the divine in the human heart: love, compassion, patience, tolerance, justice, humility. And what are the characteristics of those qualities? They free us from the illusion of separation. And the qualities that take us into separation, anger, falsehood, jealousy, pride, prejudice, all of those qualities lead to the hidden nature. The hidden nature. The self is hidden and the mystery is hidden. But when the heart is open and the light of the soul illuminates consciousness, we can then do two things. Wisdom and find the divine attributes within ourselves. That's what we're all about in this group, and bring them into action. Divine wisdom is different. Divine wisdom finds the qualities and then seeks their source, and that's unity. And that unity, going back to the source of love, going back to the source of compassion, brings us to the essence of life, the luminosity of our very souls. And those who have perceived the luminosity of the self and the soul, they realize that that is the golden thread embodied in all living beings in different ways of expression, whether it's a leaf, a worm, a tiger, a lion, a dog, another human being. And the human being is the only creature that can knowingly achieve this realization. So we are at a point now, it's called the Anthropocene, in which, because we have forgotten this purpose, this why of being human, of being a full human being, we are trying to dominate nature as a goal for the purpose of military conquest and market expansion. We're distracting ourselves with weapons of mass distraction, and we're forgetting the very straight path of developing the qualities of loving kindness and compassion, which lead to the wisdom that allows for fulfillment. And the person who's fulfilled will respond in the moment, will respond into the moment to that evolutionary expression of beauty that is the essence of being human, and that is the essence of what brought all things in space and time into existence. So our purpose, the divine purpose today, is the same as it's always been for human beings. Know yourself, know your creator, and love people and use things, and never love things and use people. May the grace that gives us life make us those who have hearts without borders, commensurate with a planet without borders. May our hearts be those hearts that make space for grace, the gift that gives us life itself, the gift of breath, the gift that we are given to be together. This life is a gift. We're not here for a long time. And we can't save the world. We can serve the world. And that is good enough. May God's grace guide us with love and kindness. And may we guide each other in ways that help each other realize that gift. Amen. Thank you.
Amen, brother. Amen, Jonathan Granoff. Thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you for bringing that beautiful message and the divine wisdom and the clarity of thought that you always bring, Jonathan, like a candle shining brightly. We just appreciate and love you so much, and thank you for all of your teachings and clarifications and wisdom and grace. Very deeply honored to have you with us, brother, as we always are. Thank you. And we've got the wonderful Omashar. Omashar is an accomplished singer-songwriter and workshop facilitator who has had the blessing of exploring our world while sharing his gifts. His divinely inspired music, which he terms metaphysical pop, celebrates the connection of all life and the journey that we all take home to our true divine self. Omashar's music is like a sword of truth, a bridge, and a key that fits into many hearts and minds. He has appeared on New Age and inspirational television radio programs and has presented to date in 33 countries at inspirational, spiritual, and New Earth gatherings. Omashar, you're a blessing for the Global Peace Tribe and to all of us. Welcome to the symposium. And we're going to close this Visionary Voices segment with your music. And then once Omashar finishes, we'll all jump into the participants' room. Welcome, brother.
Namaste, Ben, and namaste, everybody. What a blessing that we're here together, because I feel the community all here within my heart, and we're all rising together. We're all integral parts of what is actually happening. And my heart impulse has always led me to learn how to raise the vibration and frequency of myself and thus all beings. One of the ways I do this is through music, and I've met sisters and brothers the world over who are awakening and rising, not looking to the old model of greed, but building a new vision directed by our hearts. We've been deceived for eons of time. Holy smoke. The hypnotizing pull of the outer world now is almost complete, but it is not, because that's where we come in, inserting into the collective consciousness, the new dream, the new reality of a heart-centered, self-sustaining earth and environment, catering to and supporting all of us sentient beings with love, respect, and the means to rise and trust and feel free and safe and loved again. What a concept. My most recent composition that I'm going to play now is called Hypnotized, and it speaks for itself. If you have earbuds or decent speakers, plug them in and let's move and dance now. And let's take a few deep breaths, and I'll put our beautiful earth behind us. And I love us all so much. It is why I'm here. It is why we're here. And I'm just going to press a couple of buttons to get me professionally. There we are. Recognize we've been hypnotized, the spell is wearing off, and so now we rise with higher frequencies. There is no disguise, the truth of life itself is now realized. Love is reaching through of me and you. Our world is waking up to our different points of view, and now we recognize we've been hypnotized. The spell is wearing off, and
So shake yourself free of the past. No longer do we walk in the dark. Let's show each other what we can do, and let our light shine right on through. Cause now we recognize we've been hypnotized. The spell is wearing off, and so now we rise with higher frequencies. There is no disguise, the truth of life itself. There's no realized. Let the good of humanity stay, and let the dross simply fade away, and let the mother return to us all, so that love can have a way, because love is reaching through the hearts of me and you, and the world is waking up to our different points of view. Cause now we recognize we've been hypnotized. The spell is wearing off, and so now we rise with higher frequencies. There is no disguise, the truth of life itself is now realized. Let the good of humanity stay, let the dross simply fade away. Shake yourself free of the past, because no longer do we walk in the dark. Cause now we recognize
Wow, I love that, Omashar. I love that song. That was beautiful. And did you see all those people dancing along? That was awesome to see the gallery.
I have to stop doing that, because when you're playing, you just embody the song. And if I engage my eyes into the dancers, it pulls me out of my body.
Well,
So I was not watching, I was just feeling. Thank you, Ben, for responding.
you were looking with your other eyes, Omashar.
I was.
Feeling, and we're gonna now. That was beautiful, and we're gonna hear more from Omashar a little bit later in the engagement.